Hey, y'all.
Hey, they try to keep us down. It
Listen,
don't happen though.
y'all, we late, but it's a good thing. We was trying. We ain't stressed out. So we are sorry for the delay, but that just means that this is going to be an amazing conversation about finding joy. We got a special guest, y'all. Y'all ain't just hearing from us tonight. I am so grateful and so honored to have my beautiful friend, sister here, Vanessa Burns, aka the Joy Junkie. She is free collective herself, like all of the things. If y'all listen, she has a beautiful bio, but I'm not gonna read it. Y'all got to come to a beautiful encounter to see it. But hey, Vanessa,
Hey y'all,
Hello, hello. Welcome to our
Katrina,
unscripted.
listen.
Andre, how y'all doing?
This is
Great.
truly an unscripted. Like this was the perfect title for this show because
Yeah.
like everything is like these off the moments. It's
That was
truly
completely unscripted. I would not have chosen that experience.
But
listen.
that's why it's called the great experience too, right?
Technology was not cooperating tonight, but that's
Woo.
okay because God had the last word. We're gonna do this thing.
Yes, we
Listen,
are. Yes,
listen,
we are.
listen, listen. Okay, so you're the joy junkie. What does that mean
Ooh, what does
for
that
somebody that
mean?
doesn't know?
So, when you think about junkie, you think about, something that you're just obsessed with, something you have to have, right? Something that's just always, on your mind, something that, it really and in the negative sense, it's something that you don't feel like you can live without. And for me, that's joy. And I've certainly had my share of disappointments and losses, betrayals, hurts. And I always seem to bounce back. And a few years ago, I really just started to do a lot of introspection to figure out, like, what am I really made of? And what, as you age, you start to think about things differently. And it's like, what am I made of? Like, what is this way, this that I'm able to bounce back from? What some have shared would have taken would and have taken other people out, or
Mhm.
just really took them out for a long period of time. And it really is joy. And it really is my belief that what we believe about ourselves and what we say about ourselves and then what we embody is what we attract more of. And so that's why I'm the joy junkie. I attract a lot of joy, like you and Andre. Joyful people, wonderful experiences. There are times that I really do pinch myself and think about the life that, how it started out and how it's turning out. And to really say that I have everything to be so grateful for and joyful about. And we're all going to experience the life stuff, right?
Mhm.
Life is, as they say now, life is lifing.
Yeah.
And but being a joy junkie, having joy as my default setting really means that my reactions and responses are joy informed. And we can choose how we respond to any and everything. And sometimes we have a default response, right? But we
Mhm.
can always quickly course correct when we come to ourselves and think about, how do I want this to turn out? And then really apply that mindset to how I want a solution, or how I want to respond, whether it's to someone, to a circumstance, or how I'm just going to make a decision to about my life, my family, my work, whatever. So
And
that's why I'm the joy junkie.
that's
And
the
actually, I didn't
listen.
give myself that name. Somebody else kind of dropped it on me one time, a perfect stranger, and it stuck with me. And I was like, that actually fits.
It really does fit. And it's when I think about the joy and I think about, what God had given me in terms of even in this, they're still beautiful. And just
Mhm.
understanding that when life is life and you're going through all of the things, like joy is probably the last thing that's it's this furthest thing from your mind because you're in the thick of it.
Right.
And just knowing that, to be able to hold on to the joy, to hold on to the gratitude, to hold on to the beautiful, that becomes the anchor for us.
Really.
So that when we're in that storm, we may, get rocked a little bit, but we're not going to fall, because the joy is what we're holding on to, is what's grounding us, and knowing that, okay, what I'm experiencing right now is just this moment.
Right.
God is still present with me, and that's what we have to hold on to.
Absolutely. I could not have said that better. Absolutely.
You the MC, so this is your, like, what you gonna do?
I was just waiting my turn. I just waiting my turn to step in. But I was listening to what you were saying, Miss Vanessa, and you said your journey and everything. It's not how we start; it's always how we finish.
It is.
It
so because most of us can't control how it started.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We had no control over how we got here, who we got here through, where we grew up. Like, those are the things we couldn't control.
Right.
And then sometimes people do really feel like their life is not in their control. And we know, as we said, life does the life things, but it really is how we respond to it. And we can look at the struggles that we've had in life as a way to feel down, because certainly most of us can access some stuff that could keep us depressed and keep us down. Or we can say, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm going to do something good with it, because the word says that all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord and are the called according to their purpose. So part of my purpose is really to bring joy into the world. And I was doing that when I didn't know it. I was just being me, which makes it easy for my purpose, because I'm just going to be me.
And that's what
I'm much more intentional about it now than I used to be.
And that's what makes it truly genuine, because you're being yourself. It's not no act. It's nothing. You just truly being who you are. And that's when it's really going to really touch people, because they can't see through no fake. They can't see through nothing. This is what I am. This is who I am. I live this. Yep, so I always have a saying that I say is, just in every negative situation, there's a positive. You just got to find that. You just got to find it. I had to put my truck in the shop this morning, and I'm sitting there, Trina. We just going through the list of things that she got to do, and I'm like, hey, we gonna be all right. We may do longer without 2 vehicles, so we'll be fine.
Right. Okay.
We're gonna be completely fine. I mean, with the kids ripping and running, Trina got to rip and run this weekend. It'll get figured out.
It'll get figured out.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know why it will? Because you believe that it will.
Oh yeah.
You believe that it will. And instead of going through the things, we can rehearse the things that we don't want.
Exactly.
I don't want the kids to be late. I don't want the kids to not get to their stuff on time. I don't want you not to be able to pick up your products when you're supposed to. We can do all of the I don't wants, and we'll keep getting the I don't wants.
Yep.
But we can say it's all gonna get handled. It's happening, and it really is that trust and almost that ease, axing of the saying, I've got to be in control of every step of it. I really do believe this, because with every fiber of my being, I have watched this be so, that the how really is none of our business.
That part.
It's really the faith that we have in God. It's like, God, Andre truck is in the shop. These things are not unknown to God.
Right. Nope.
And so as a result of that, it's all going to happen. Whether it's some friends will raise up and things will just happen. And I really think that it's our belief in that makes things happen, and that builds our faith, because when we speak those things that be not as though they are, and then those things happen for us, it builds our faith for the next test.
For the next,
One of the other speakers, Alicia Johnson, is also going to speak at.
I'm looking forward to hear her.
One of the things she's always saying is everything's encoded in the process. So no matter what we're going through, it's encoded in the process. Like God knew it was going to happen, and we just have to understand. Like that helps us find peace. That
Yeah.
when life is life, and as my friend Sabrina Monroe would say, God is still God, and
Yep.
like you
God is
just have
still God.
to.
Oh, I love that.
You,
Yes, God is still God.
Sabrina, you got put on a shirt now. Um, it's just that we have to remember that with everything that we're going through, like there's still a plan for it. Like,
Yeah,
okay, him being in the truck, maybe it's not meant for us to do all the ripping and running, right? Maybe that's
right.
God's way of saying slow down, or what have you. So it's just a matter of okay, when that thing does hit us, when life is life, like we have to take a moment and pause. Like there's power
Yeah,
in the pause and just saying, okay, God, this is what I'm experiencing.
yeah.
What's the lesson is? What are you trying to get me to hear? What are you trying to get me to see so that we can stay
So
in the
true.
joy and we
Yes.
can stay in the beautiful?
It's so easy. And I to everyone that is watching that may not be experiencing, as much joy as you'd like to. It's not because every moment is, y'all don't know what we were going through trying to get this broadcast. Is their tech was working fine, and my tech always works, and it was not working tonight. We don't
Listen,
know why. And so we just kept doing what we had to do, and we kept trying settings or whatever. And then I tried
Voila.
something else, and I said, okay. And I'm just sitting here typing and changing settings, and here we are.
yeah,
But don't it cross my mind to say y'all go on without me, and maybe I'll join you on another show. That crossed my mind, and then I just felt God saying, "Nope, keep going. We got a
Yeah.
solution." So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just that we need to go in a different direction.
that's it.
Sometimes those things that happen are happening because we need to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
There are lessons in all of the challenges.
That's it.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
always lessons embedded in what is showing up as adverse circumstances. There's always, lessons. That's a code. There's always code. So your friend Alicia saying that is powerful. There's code in there for everything. I have learned
Mhm.
so many lessons from the difficult circumstances, the
Oh yeah.
challenging ones, because those are the ones that cause me to stop and say, how could this have been better? How could
Right.
this have been easier? How could this have been avoided?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what used to really check me and what still checks me is the times that I used to lose my temper, because I was that girl. And, I was that girl.
Yep.
And I could lose my temper really easily, especially in personal matters, not so much in the professional world. I had to, I was a Black woman, so
We
I
know
didn't
how to tame that.
I didn't have a choice, right? Because we got to, the whole twice as good for half as much. All of that was in my
Yep.
mind as I was, a young Black career woman. So I kept it together there. But in my personal life, because I was not dealing with personal issues, I was not really looking at myself. I was living reactively. So it was so easy for a set of circumstances to just take me over the edge.
Mhm.
And so it was in those moments and reflecting back on those. And, some of the greatest reflections of my life happened when I was locked up, when I was in prison. And, like, okay, let's face it. I mean, joking, not joking. I had plenty of time on my hands.
Right.
So, I can laugh about it now because it's 30 some years later. But it really gave me so much time to think because of the great privilege that I was given and the mercy that was given to me to not get the amount of time that I was facing, that I was determined that when I came out, I had to be different or else I was going to wind up right back
Right
there
back
again.
in.
Right.
Because what got me there was my mindset. What
Yep.
got me there was the messed up thinking and the reactionary, and not really knowing my worth and not knowing who I was as God's daughter and a queen. Not really knowing that and not embodying that is what landed me in jail. And it's what lands a lot of us in adverse
Sticky
circumstances,
situations.
whether it's
Yeah.
prison, whether it's, toxic relationships or jobs that we despise or those kinds of things. It really is the mindset and understanding who we are and what we really deserve, and that God has really the best for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just touched on it all when you said it makes it a lot easier once you realize who you are and what your purpose is.
Yeah.
Um, we got to get back to that with everybody, especially our youth. I'm big on the
Mm,
youth and everything because I work in recreation, and we have to instill into them the value that they have. They are
yes.
very valuable, and you touched on a lot of things. I'm an energy person, and so
Mm, me
one
too.
of the things that I live for now is if you allow someone to get you out of your character, they have more power over you than you have over yourself.
It's
That's
the
it.
truth. It's the truth.
And because I'm one of the ones like trying to tell you, I snap in a heartbeat, and it was like I'm
Lord, thank you
allowing,
for answer prayers.
yeah, I'm allowing someone to have more power over me than I have over myself. I should be able to walk away from a
Mm,
situation and know that I was the bigger person because it doesn't need to go to any physical. I
mm,
I mean at this point in my life now, there's no physical harm I want to put on anybody unless you plan to put physical harm on me and my family.
right. Right. Right.
Other than that, man, I'm walking away.
Right.
I want to live to see tomorrow. I want to be able to come back in the house and see the kids and everything like that. It's
Mm,
and I'm speaking on the men's side of it. I tell my youth this. I say the leading cause a lot of young men death is their ego, just
it's
because they just don't want to walk away.
so true. So true.
You
So
know,
true.
so I tell my
And
people, I
literally,
tell my
people don't wind up going home at night because
fight
of ego,
because of their
because not
ego.
being able to walk away from something somebody said, or,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely one of the things where I'm like, don't allow anybody to have that much power over you.
right,
Because
right.
once you do that, then you should be the only one that should rain on your parade. Nobody should be able to rain on your parade.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And even if they do, still have your parade. Still have
Have
your
your
parade in
have
the
your parade. We got an umbrella for that. We got a
oh,
joy
yeah.
umbrella for that.
Oh yeah, we ain't making sugar. We ain't making
Listen,
sugar. We gonna continue this
We
parade.
go,
they
no, we
only
all made of sugar though, Andre. Me and Katrina are, but
I mean, but I want to go back to something that you said because I want to go there, but briefly because I don't want to give away what you're going to talk about at a beautiful encounter.
okay.
Because I know your story.
Mhm.
And someone may have heard you talk about you being in prison, and someone may have missed that. And I want to say that, okay, you were physically in prison,
I
right?
was,
Whereas we are, keep ourselves a lot of times in mental prison. And
yes,
so I know that was a big roadblock for you for maintaining your joy, but it was also the catalyst for finding your joy.
it was.
So talk a little bit about that, but don't give too much away because they got to get a ticket to be in the room to experience it. But I
Just
just,
give them a
yeah,
little
just
bit of that
just a
sprinkle.
little bit.
Just a
So listen.
sprinkle.
More so about the experience itself.
Well, just how what we when someone thinks about, oh, she went to prison, or I'm in prison, and that how that could be a big roadblock, like it could be a stop, a big hindrance for you moving forward and finding joy, right? You
Mhm.
could have said, I'm in prison, it is like you could have gone completely in a different route,
Right,
but
yes,
you turned that experience into purpose. For you now, joy became your pursuit.
yes.
So that's what I want. That's what I guess. That's what I mean.
Um, it was hard and not hard. Um, it was hard because when you are surrounded by that much negativity and death and wow, just despair,
Mhm.
and on a daily, there wasn't a single day where there was not bad news.
Yeah.
If it wasn't your bad news, it was somebody else's bad news. Somebody in your dorm, a guard, a correctional officer in a bad mood for no reason, could just completely change your day and even change your life. And I had my literal life threatened. Um, it was the mental prison that I was in first that landed me in the physical prison.
Wow.
And I realized that while I was in there. I actually realized it before I got there. I didn't know whether I was going to have to go. And God was like, yeah, you're going. But I was supposed to go for 30 years and I went for a year.
Wow.
So,
Hold on. You can't, because
Wow.
y'all have to hear what she just said, because she was facing 30,
yeah,
but God only said one.
yeah.
And
Only said one.
only said one.
Only
Like,
said one. And I got credit for the time I had already served. By the time I got to court, I had already served 5 months, but I was transferred to the maximum security prison in Maryland, in Jessup, for women. And I served out the rest, and I got 3 months off for good behavior. So I was out in October. And so I came in January, came out in October. So I did a total of 10 months for what could have been 30 years. And I had a lot of, probation afterwards, 5 years, in more than one jurisdiction. And it was all the best thing. One is because it gave me an opportunity to make up for the bad that I'd done.
that, yeah.
Okay. So that 5 years, somebody was making sure every single month and checking in with me to make sure that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, because I had to pay a lot of money back. And in doing that, I worked really hard, but it kept it at the forefront of my mind, because my judge said, I quote, he said, if you mess this up, you will do every day of that 30 years. So that was hanging over my head every single day of my life during that 5 years while I was, repaying, my debt, and, not only making it right with the people that I injured, but also getting right with God myself, because I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to do it again, not just because jail is horrible, but because I at one time had so many dreams for myself, so many things that I wanted to do. And, I used to cut pictures, we now know it as a vision board, but while I was in there, I was cutting pictures out and putting them in a photo album and looking, I was blessed enough to work in the library. So I had access to all the old magazines, and I was just cutting out pictures of what I wanted my living room to look like, what I wanted my kitchen to look like, what I wanted my linen to look like. And I just, that's how I spent my days, writing letters to my family, making plans. And, I didn't realize it for several years after I got out that every single plan that I wrote and everything that was in those albums, actually, I started living. And I've
Listen.
surpassed it now, how I live, where I got to work, the career that I've had in the last, because this is going on 35 years now since I was out. And just the life that I've had to live. Like, I have spent days working in the White House with ambassadors and heads of state. And, now I get to stand on stages and in pulpits and, talk about the goodness of God and about this joy. So I said, I never, ever want God to be ashamed, not that God would, because God would love me anyway, but be ashamed of giving me another chance. But I also realized that I would have made it bad for the next woman that would have stood in front of that judge, that would have begged him for mercy, even though she was wrong. And then he thought twice about it. I've done it before. The other one came back in front. I didn't want to be that girl.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that he at least said, okay, well, rehabilitation is possible. And I'm an example of that.
I love that, because this is a good conversation. Like, I want to go,
You can't
because
go too deep
I can't go to, but
because it's
just,
just we just doing this right now.
we've talked about, what everyone is sitting on, like the thing that God has told you, get it out of your hands because it's for somebody else. And
It
just to
is.
be able to hear you share that,
Mhm.
And knowing that the mental imprisonment that you were facing during that probation period, it could have kept you in prison like again.
Yeah.
But you're saying, okay, I'm not going to be here again. And like truly turning that into joy and just letting God know, letting the world know, like, even in what I went through, I've got joy.
Yeah.
I'm still smiling. Like y'all, when she's in the room, music come on, she the first on the dance floor, like all of the things.
I
And
am.
it's
I am.
it's just amazing to know that, when we're in those hard moments and we're saying, God, why me? Why am I
Yeah.
going through it? We say all of the whys and we question everything that he does. When we can find the peace and release the heaviness of what's taking place, he can then say, this is why.
It's why.
Right? You were acquit. I was reading a book and it was like, we all have been called for, we always say that I've been called for a purpose.
Right.
But the author said, but we are purpose. It's
Mm,
not that we're called for purpose. We are the purpose.
we are.
And just going back, like he formed us and he knew us in our mother's womb before we were even formed. Like he knew, da 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 da. Like Vanessa was going to go through this, so Katrina was going to get terminated from her job. Like all of the things,
Right.
because in that there's purpose to it, and the only way that purpose comes forth is we can say, okay, God, I'm scared. I don't know what this journey is going to look like,
Whew,
but I'm going
the
to trust you
fear.
anyway. Right?
The
It's the
fear.
fear.
Oh my, the
But
fear.
understanding that I'm going to trust you anyway. I'm going to find joy anyway. I'm going to find the beautiful anyway. I'm going to find the strength anyway. Because if you think about everything that you've gone through prior to this, he's
Yeah.
gotten you through it. So why wouldn't he get us through this too?
His
And it's
resume,
just,
as I like to say, is like stellar,
yep,
right?
yep.
So, I'm a recruiter by vocation, and I always just think about God's resume. It is perfectly formatted, and the wins far outweigh the losses. And in truth, most of the losses are not really losses. And I'm not talking about losing people. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole different thing. But the jobs we lose, the relationships that fall away, we don't understand it because we're trying to hold on. And then because we are asking God always why,
Yep.
you know, we learn why later. And sometimes it wasn't even about them, it was more about us. And it's like, yeah, so I had something for you to do over here, and that relationship would if you stayed there, it wouldn't have allowed you to go where I have to take you. And that's not always easy, because you mentioned, the fear. Like, I was afraid. I was afraid all the time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest thing about coming out was I could answer my door and not be afraid. I could answer my phone, because for the longest time, I was on the run. I ain't trying to sound like Bonnie or Clyde or whatever, but it was like,
But
I mean, I
it's
wasn't
real.
trying to get caught. I wasn't trying to get caught. So, they were knocking on the door trying to serve warrants at all hours of the night. And I was,
Mm-hmm.
in my house with no lights on, so it wouldn't look like I was home. Like, I was living like David was living out in the wilderness, like hiding from Saul, except that I wasn't in the right. David was hiding, because he was in the right, and Saul had gone, had lost it. But it was still so fearful. So to be able to, it took me years though, y'all, for a knock to come on my door and me not be afraid if it was a knock I wasn't expecting. Because
Right.
I lived like that for several years until all of that got cleared up. So I wouldn't trade anything. Like, once you get to the other side of that thing, you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back. And but the fear is real.
Yep.
Saying,
Yeah.
am I going to be able to find a job? Will I ever love again? Will I find the job that I really want? Or will this business work that I'm trying to make happen? Katrina, you and I had the same situation
Yep.
happen. within, we didn't even realize it, within a couple of months of each other.
Yep.
We both came out of that corporate America thing, and it was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? But man, like sometimes it's those circumstances that really shift us and pivot us, and we pivot to the place that we really need to be next. So, I am so proud of you and Andre. Like, I just, to see y'all, like Andre is just like in his world, and Katrina is like, you've always been here. You really, and I mean, this is like the dynamic duo, and it's so natural and so beautiful. I'm just really proud of you guys and really excited for you all, and what, not only the beautiful encounter is going to do, but just what you're doing with Unbreakable Memories. And, this beautiful movement is just that. It really is beautiful, and helping men and women and young people to know how valuable they really are, and to use that word for themselves, not to describe a sunset or a sunrise or an ocean, because that's beautiful too. But we're beautiful.
Yep. It's
to see you at a microphone, Katrina, like
right, that part.
That part, right? I've been doing this for a long time, but seeing you doing it is amazing. It's awesome.
It is.
But it is the example of what you said, your purpose.
Yep.
You started asking God some questions and getting some answers that you had to respond to.
Yeah, I didn't like some of the answers.
I know.
But it really does. It comes down to, okay, God, I hear you. And now I'm going to have to completely trust. And even doing this in Beautiful Encounter, when I was talking to him, like, do we move forward? And he told me to take a leap. He's like, just take the leap. And then we were at your event at the water, and Reverend Anika Wilson talked, and she was talking about taking a leap. And that was just like confirmation again at the again. So going to your event, and it was like the next day I went and signed the contract. It was just like, wow, okay, God, I don't know what this is. A Beautiful Encounter is going to look like. And
you weren't supposed to.
I wasn't supposed to.
Not yet.
But even still, I had to sit and get still enough to sit and, okay, God, what's the vision? Right. And so I'm writing, like, I see bubbles and butterflies and like purples and pinks and gold, all of those things, because I understood that the little girl within me, within us, the little boy needs to know that they're safe. And that it's okay to have fun. And, okay, life is going to life, but listen, let's still just enjoy the moment. Let's create the beautiful piece of it, because life is beautiful.
It is.
Like every single color, even in trial and in pain, they're still beautiful. Yeah, it's just, you just got to shift the perspective to see that, to see the joy.
Yes. Oh, that's so true.
Yep.
So good. So good.
So when you were speaking on fear, and we definitely spoke on fear a couple times. The first one that came up, an acronym that came up, let me go back real quick. It said false evidence appearing real.
Yep.
And I was like, dang, that's crazy, because that's us. We are so afraid of fear. And I was afraid to take that step to a new career. But once I took that step, it was like I was supposed to have been here. Right. But it was that fear. So then hearing your story, right? Another one popped up. It said, forget everything and run. That's where you were in the beginning. This is where you are now. Face everything and rise.
Oh, I like that.
I love these. Okay.
And I mean, come
on, preacher.
Like, for real. That was the first thing that popped up. And I go to this, and I'm like, the first thing that pop up, that's what I'm going to really speak on, because we could sit here and scroll all day long. But the first thing that come up, and it touched home, like really touched home, because I never really thought of an acronym for fear. But I'm on this about to be on now, because that's the first thing that popped up. I was like, wow, that's crazy, because a lot of us and forget everything and run. A lot of us are still in that mindset, like, man, forget that. I'm about to just run away from everything.
Yeah.
And it's not even like physically running, just mentally just, man, I'm just not gonna deal with it.
Right.
I'm gonna just put it in the back foot. I'm gonna just keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Because fear
sometimes,
paralyzes. It can
yeah,
paralyze you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
exactly.
Yeah.
can.
Sometimes you have to sit there and you have to face it and then rise above that.
Yeah.
You gotta, because I mean, it's gonna be negatives, but in all negatives, there's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to look for. We
You
have to
gotta
be
So
find it.
true.
intentional on looking
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
we would be intentional looking for the negative, though. A lot of us don't be intentional looking for the positive.
It's so true.
Yes.
It's so
Yeah,
true. That negative is it's so funny how in our community that is so it seems so easy unless we make intentional decisions to just go to the negative
yeah. That's
and
easy.
and to worry, to and start stacking the reasons. And I was reading or listening to something recently, and it was an audio book, and the gentleman said, stop arguing for your limitations.
Wow.
And
I
I realized there were times I was doing that because I was giving God every reason why I couldn't. Because I was arguing for my
Yep,
limitations.
yep.
And I think about the extraordinary things that God does with what we call ourselves ordinary, but in truth, there's nothing ordinary about us.
nothing at all.
Because if we're described as fearfully and wonderfully made, how in the world could that be ordinary? So we are really made for an extraordinary life. We're really made for an abundant life, a joyful life, and a life that's really free. And but it's a decision. We have to walk
Yes.
into that. It's there for us, but we have to walk into it, and we do have to overcome fear. And as we've heard many times, sometimes you just got to do it afraid.
Yep.
Stomach twisted up, underarms stinging, palms sweating. Every time that I'm going to speak, my stomach is jacked up. And I was like, God, do I have to, like, all these years, like, my stomach's still jacked up? But now I've learned how to use it. And I realize that it's a combination of excitement, but also reverence, because it is a privilege to address people with a word, the word of God, or with a speech that is supposed to uplift and encourage and shift the life. It's a privilege. So I now realize that all this nervous energy is
Mm-hmm.
also reverence for who is speaking through me. And
Wow.
that's where the nerves come from, because I ain't playing with God. And so so once that's out, so that's why I usually start every speech out like I'm about to run across a field somewhere, because it's like, I got I gotta get it out.
You got to get it out.
It's
Yep.
like all balled up, and it's like, if I don't get it out quick, it's just gonna mess me up, and I need to flow, when I'm speaking. But I'm doing it, oftentimes I'm doing it afraid.
Yeah.
I don't approach, even tonight. Katrina, I talked to you earlier, and I was on my way from the airport. As soon as I dropped my mom off and I got in the truck, the butterflies came, because I was like, okay, I got to be on with Andre and Katrina tonight. And it's a privilege, but it's also like, I get to do this. It's exciting. And
Yeah.
but I'm also nervous, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. I hope I say
Li-
I hope I say the
and-
right thing.
But
That's why it's
but that's
unscripted.
what I was about to say. That's why I said to you, it's unscripted. We could be talking about joy 1 minute, and then next thing you be talking about, we go back and forth, and that's
Mhm.
the beautiful thing about it. Um,
It is.
so I wanna talk about the healing hikes, because that's
Okay.
a service that you do, and I'm still listen. I need to get on your schedule,
Come on.
but tell our viewers, what's a healing high? What's a healing high? Let me say this. How'd you start the healing hikes?
Okay.
And then what are they? Because I know that there's someone on here, it's like a healing hike. Like, okay, what, because I ain't going hiking, but it's so much more than that. So
Yes.
what's the healing hike?
It's so much more than walking through the woods,
It
which
is.
turns a lot of people off. Like, what? So during the pandemic, when, you know, the gyms were shut down and all of that stuff, I started hiking with a friend. And it was the first time was to go to Great Falls.
Okay.
She asked me, had I ever been to Great Falls? And I was like, yeah, but I haven't been in years. So, and I love water. I love waterfalls. I love oceans. I love lakes. I love, you know, I love water. And I started doing it every single Sunday. And then I started doing it Saturday and Sunday. And then some weeks I was out there on a Tuesday or a Wednesday because, you know, at one point during the pandemic, I wasn't working, even though I was online before that, I wasn't working. And what was happening is that I was reconnecting with God in a way that I had never before. And the amount of adrenaline that happens when you're out in the woods and you are on these paths, and the amount of beauty, first of all, that's surrounding you, you know, trees. And of course, you know, pandemic happened right in the middle, right at the beginning of spring. So I was out there in the summer watching things bloom, and then it was October and everything was turning orange and red, and, you know, and watching the water shift when we had rain, and watching the waterfalls and coming up on waterfalls and finding new places to hike. But I was also just had all these quiet moments, and it was a time of great fear for the world.
Yes.
We didn't know what COVID was. We were getting mixed information every single day. We were getting bad news every single day. I don't watch much news anyway, but I had to turn off the news. And bless my mother's heart, I had to turn her off from her 9-paragraph text messages telling us what was going on. Because I was like, now I turned off channel 13, but channel 13 is on my phone.
On your phone.
You know, but my mom, you know, she was staying informed, and I was like, Mom, you gotta stop texting us these 9-paragraph things. You know, so it became more important for me to feel free, me to not be afraid, and to ask God not only for myself, but, you know, those prayers. So in that, I started getting these ideas, all these ideas, my ideas for my book. I mean, just all these things that I wanted to do. And one of the things, just one day I was walking with my girlfriend, Chantel, and I said, I want to do this. I want to bring women out here. And I said, I want to give, because we were talking and she was basically saying that I had coached her while we were talking. And she was like, and I was like, I should do this. And she was like, you should do this. She said, because you just did it, you know? So being out there, being a coach already, you know, I've been a life coach for many, many years. I think it's going on 14 or 15 years now since I took my first certification, and, you know, many since then. And really focused on transformation. So I am a master transformation coach, in that my purpose is to help you transform your life from the life you have now into the life that you really desire. And transformation is tumultuous.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be, you know, I'm not going to give you no cutesy homework assignments. We getting ready to turn some stuff. We getting ready to dig up in the ground. We're going to turn some stuff over so that we can get to who you're supposed to be.
I don't want to play in the dirt, Vanessa.
So come on, we're gonna play in the dirt. So, but that's the figurative dirt. And then we had the literal dirt, you know. But then I just realized how, and we were both saying just how much the information really stuck, because we were alone, but we were in nature. And when your body is moving, right? So now your happy hormones are kicking in.
Yes.
And when you're walking in the woods, you have to use critical thinking unconsciously, but you're using critical thinking because you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to traverse these rocks? And do I want to take the trail to the left or to the right? This one's muddy, and am I going to jump over, or am I going to go around? Like there's all these things that are firing, and the ideas were just coming. So I created Healing Hikes as a VIP coaching experience. It's a one-on-one with me, and it is curated specifically for that person that I'm hiking with.
Damn.
We do just a call to talk about your goals, like what you're looking to do, and we kind of get a lot done in about. But we hike as long as you want. But I really feel like an hour at least is helpful, and then we stop. And if you want, I make you one of my fabulous all natural smoothies with all the wonderful natural ingredients. But of course, you get to choose the ingredients because we don't want anybody eating anything they don't want to eat.
Right.
And we got our water, we got our sunscreen, we got our insect repellent. I got your first aid kit. I got the Bluetooth speaker if we need that. We got incense if you need that. I've got the Bible. I've got my notepad. I've got my video recorder. And after we talk about what you're going to do and we set an action plan, I send that back to you and then help you follow up with your action plan, either with you one-on-one. We either keep working together, or you say, you know what, I'm going to take it from here. And so now I'm offering healing hikes and joy hikes because everybody's not in a space of feeling like they necessarily need healing, but they want to experience the woods, but they ain't trying to walk up in that little trail that they see by themselves. So, which I get. I am on the adventurous side. I was always the kid that was going to try it first and tell everybody else how great it was. So that's, I'm still that girl. And every person that I've taken hiking loved it. And every person was not an outdoor person. So Katrina, as you and I have talked about couples hikes.
He just asked, she do that for men?
Nope,
and I
do
think
it for men too. Now I don't do men one-on-one, but I will do men in a group with other ladies or whatever. And certainly, we talked about you and I talked about doing the couples hikes, which I think is great, and being able to even curate that experience to help couples even bond closer together.
I see.
And the trust that has to happen out on the trails, because sometimes you do encounter some stuff that you need to trust. And to give you a quick example, my very first healing hike client, we were crossing a lot of water on this particular hike. We had these little brooks and we had some ledges and things. And I don't want to scare y'all because y'all don't have to do that one. You get to choose the difficult level of your hike. So you don't have to do that, which that's the one she chose. And a couple times she was struggling and I put my hand out and she, kind of shooed my hand and she was like, oh, I got it. And so maybe after the third time, she said to me, because she was having trouble getting across and I was already on the other side and I wanted her to see that she could do it. And, we got our feet wet, but we wanted to because it was hot. And I put my hand out and she said, look at me rejecting your hand.
Wow.
And I said, I know, because we were going to talk about it when we go and take our break. I said, I was going to ask you, why is it that you didn't want help? So even in the smallest things that are happening out there, it polarizes sometimes the things that we need to work on. And she realized that she had been doing everything herself. And so often in her life, she was the one expected to do everything. So she didn't know how to accept help. And so here I am, knowing what I'm doing, experienced hiker, ready to get her across, just to give her a little hand and make sure she didn't, fall. And she had to think about why she wouldn't accept it. So the hiking experience with coaching is very powerful.
I was gonna say that because it's you think you're going for one thing. Oh, I'm gonna be outside, right? But to know and just see like that example you gave of how it turned into a healing moment.
Yeah.
Or not even necessarily an awareness moment.
Yeah.
Because she hadn't thought about that before. And to know like, okay, you took something that you just picked up during COVID and how you transitioned it to help others.
Yeah.
And it gets back to that thing, like, what are we sitting on that somebody else needs?
Yeah.
And to know just something as simple as just getting out and like nature is so grounding. It's so hidden.
It
Like there's
is.
so much beautiful in it. The bugs, I kind of question like what some of their purpose is, but I know like you got to have the bugs. I
Right.
know that.
The frogs eat the bird, eat the bugs,
And, and they
that's
pollinate and like
frog
all,
food.
so I know it's all connected because God is very intentional in his
Very.
creation. So I know that. I'm
Very
trying
much
to get it
so.
in my
Although
mind.
I will say we don't encounter many bugs at all. I will say that why that is, I don't know. But I feel extremely blessed that I
Yep.
haven't brought any home. I haven't been bit by anything.
Mm-hmm.
I like the insect repellent on my exposed skin just because I hate mosquito bites on me.
Yep.
When I rub them or scratch them, it leaves dark marks. So
Yep.
I'm really intentional. But some of my friends don't use the insect repellent, and they're totally fine. I just can't stand a mosquito bite. I just don't like them. But it's we've been really, really blessed on those hikes to
But
not
but I
have a lot of that.
but I'm seeing like, okay, I'm talking about bugs, right? Like that's keeping me from doing the hike. But I understand, like,
But I
listen,
understand that.
you got to get over that. And
Yeah.
so just like we can come up with so many different excuses as to why we don't want to see the beautiful and why we don't want to see the joy. When if we just paused a moment
Yeah.
and said, God, like we had the tech issues, God, this gonna work itself out.
It's gonna work itself
And
out.
and like you just said, like you can go out there thinking you're gonna come across all these bugs, and God is like, no, you're not.
Yep.
Because if you focus on the bug, then you're gonna miss him in the moment.
Yep.
You're gonna
You
miss the
know,
waterfall.
the, all of the
Oh my God,
beautiful,
the
all
things you miss when you focus on, the wrong stuff.
yep,
And I think one of the things that's so powerful is me going back to the same park. At one time, I was going back to the same park. I went like 7 weeks in a row. And I did the same trail in general. I might have taken a left or a right in a fork somewhere, and watching how God had completely changed the terrain from
Oh
one
wow.
week to the
wow,
next,
That's crazy.
and how a storm can shift everything. So it's also that recognition of being out in the midst of this power. And, one time my way was completely blocked by these huge trees that had fallen at some point during a really bad storm. And just walking up to the trees and realizing, based on the fact that the leaves were not brown and crispy, it meant the tree had just fallen not that long ago.
wow,
And then, and just seeing that, and then going through the trails and seeing how the rocks, and over time with people walking, it had literally created stairwells through the woods. um it just is amazing. And then when you come up on a waterfall on a hot summer day, and the water is so clear that you can see your designs on your toenail polish, and just be like right here in Maryland, seeing
mm-hmm.
that,
Yeah.
because I'm the nature girl. I will get my feet right in the water. Many times I've taken my hot sneakers off, sat on a rock, swung my feet in the cold water, drank my water from my water bottle, and just sat and just listened and watched. And it did so much for me. I always came back refreshed and renewed with new ideas, or just less worried, less stressed. It was just really it's been a ground. You used the perfect word, grounding. It was just really so grounding. And then to see the progress of the women that I've had on the trails since I started doing this last year gives me so much gratitude to God that I did act on what was shown to me.
Yeah,
And that it does work. Sometimes we don't. There's so much noise out here, right? On social media, in the coaching spaces and the speaking spaces. But it's proof positive that our unique voice, our unique style is supposed to reach a certain group of people.
yes,
And that's the
yes,
only group of people we got to worry about. We
yep,
don't have to reach the masses. There's some people whose lives we're
Hmm.
supposed to touch. And
yep,
those are the people that I'm asking God to connect me to those people.
yep.
Right.
Like you and Andre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my next invite.
We got to make it happen. So is it on the hiking trail? So we have to talk to Emmett about the hiking trail. Andre, you seem like you all in, but you might have to call Emmett and tell him that.
Hey, I'm gonna say I'm blessed that Trina allowed me to embark this journey with her. Because it has done wonders, not just in the merge, but also in dealing with the children as well.
Mm,
You know, I had a Rick Child said this to me. He said, Drake, last year, was it last year or the year before? It was the year before that. We go to that merge retreat in September, and our championship falls around the same time every year. And we made it all the way to the playoffs. And on Thursday, I told the kids and the parents, I said, y'all, this has weighed on me very, very heavy. But I think I need to go to this merge retreat with my wife. If
mm,
y'all make it to the championship game on Sunday, she told me that she'll allow me to go to the championship game. Man, them kids went out there and they kicked butt. But I mentioned this at the merge retreat, and Rick said, Dre, I didn't even think about this. I just didn't cross my mind at all. But he said, I want you to understand something. What you just did, you allowed those kids to see, and the parents to see, that your marriage is bigger than sports.
mm,
Your marriage is bigger than us winning this championship. It's bigger than that. So when he said that, I sat back and I processed it like, dang, there's a lot of kids out here that may not see what a two house income, a two house parent may look like. They
mm.
might not never seen it. And that's no knock to anybody. I don't speak on this to knock nobody, because I'm
Right,
only Andre Henderson, but I don't judge nobody.
right.
But it just was kind of eye opening for me for Rick to say that, and I was like, wow, didn't think about that at all, on the
Mhm.
impact that me as a coach that I have, but also for them to see me in the light of a husband
Of a
and a
husband and
father
father.
and a
Mm-hmm.
coach,
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, that touched it. It touched me so well that I was like, wow, I appreciate that. And but yeah, if Trina don't even ask me to do any of this, I wouldn't have asked her to do it.
Okay.
you know,
You never know. God might have been like,
he
"Oh, she
might have.
didn't hear me, so let me go ahead and talk
Let
to
me
you."
go talk to Andre, right?
Right, right. So I just say thank you, and I thank anybody that allows us to even embark in their journey as well, because we all on a journey. We all on a journey.
Mhm.
To know on this end to your marriage, um, just you all sense of humor with each other, and the fact that I know that this was out of both of your comfort zones, and seeing the blessing that's coming from moving out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
And a beautiful encounter is going to be just that. It's going to be quite a day.
yeah, it is.
Oh,
I'm really, really excited about it. When I saw that Andre was the MC, I got really excited.
I'm always here to have fun.
Yeah, yeah,
I
me
was
too. I'm here for the fun. I'm here for
yeah,
the fun. Listen,
I was
listen.
such an
You don't
angry
know how much
little
time
joker,
we have left. I'm not going to waste it being serious all the time, and
man.
taking myself too seriously. It's like,
yeah.
listen, it's good to let your head down, be silly. I try to laugh every day, every
Every
Yeah.
day.
day, man.
Yeah,
That joint keep you young.
yeah.
I
It
I
does keep
told
you young. I agree with that.
I laugh and I smile so much that I even do this to my kids, man. You got to go back to your car. You left your smile in the car. Go back and get it. Come back. And then I told the kid, I was like,
I
man, I'm
love
40 years
that.
old. He said, you 40, you look 30. I said, man, I appreciate that, but I'll be 40 in June, dude. So I appreciate it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Andre, you're young enough to be my son.
Listen. That's why I say
My
I
daughter's 44. She's on here, I think. She'll be 44 next month.
see
So
what
No,
I'm saying.
man.
you're young
That
enough to be my son.
for you to sit there and say that black don't never crack.
Listen, but what it is that I think the joy really does, if there is a beauty remedy, right? If there's a fountain of youth,
It's
it is
smiling.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I might get the lines or the wrinkles or whatever, but they're gonna be laugh lines.
Right.
That I'm just saying, if they coming, they're gonna be laugh lines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want them to be a result of
wrinkles.
laughing, not frowning.
Yeah, not the wrinkles. I actually did some research, and it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile.
You know what? I read that before. That's so true. I thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, what you sitting there frowning up for, man? It take more muscles to frown your face up than to do just to smile.
Right.
Because sometimes, yes. It's times where we're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
We're gonna have those moments. I mean, it's life, but just smile about it.
Yeah.
Just smile about it, and then put yourself in that happy place. Put yourself in that joyful place. Because everybody has that place to where you can go in your mind. And if you don't, then that's when you really have to sit down, and you got to be intentional on finding yourself.
So true. So
you
true.
have
It's
to.
that sitting down, being quiet, cutting out the noise, blocking the noise, and saying, "Okay, how do I recover? I need to reset."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to recharge.
Because all electronic pieces have a reset button. So why we can't have one?
Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so true.
Yeah.
Control, Alt, Delete.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll start over.
Yeah,
Reboot.
For real.
So I want to thank you for joining us, but without going too much into it, what can the women or the men that will be at a beautiful encounter expect from the Joy Junkie? What can we be in what we looking forward to?
Sure, baby.
Get ready for a high energy, fun session.
That's it.
Because I know who my hosts are. Right? So I'm gonna tell you right now, if you come in for a deep, heavy, sometimes the deep and heavy is there in the fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's there in the fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I have something special. And thank you, Katrina, because you sparked something when I texted you the other day about my topic. And I was like, so just even this in that short moment, I was like, okay, God, I think I got it. And then, we have to write things down. So when I write it down, for me, it makes it real.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started writing, I just wrote one line. And before I knew it, I had written 20 lines.
Okay.
More so, I don't write out speeches because I'm not good at that. Every time I've ever written a speech, it never got read. I think it was always just to prepare me. But this is not so much about the speech, but how we are going to move in that session. And it's going to be fun, but it will also be a time of self-discovery. Mm-hmm. And it will be a time of, even whatever period of time I'm giving, it will be a time of transformation.
I know it. So listen, y'all get your tickets. We are more than halfway through. I got a lockdown. Maybe ticket sales by the 24th, or at least get the catering their number. So get your tickets. But how can once we end, I'll then go and put all your links and all that other stuff. But how can someone that may be interested in a healing hike, I didn't even ask you about the She Is Free Collective. How can people connect with you? Y'all get it on the 8th. But for those that may not be able to join us on the 8th, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm here on Facebook. You can inbox me I'm on Instagram as I am Vanessa Burns on Facebook. You can, my office number is 202-709. I had to look at it. 709. You're like, what are you looking at? I had to look at my own phone number, my office number, 202-709-6692. And if you want to just reach me directly, I answer my phone. In this day and age, I know people don't, but I like to talk to folks. I also can give you my Calendly link, my scheduling link. So if someone wants to schedule even an alignment call, if you have someone who, someone out there is interested in, coaching, transformation coaching, and you need a coach, or you want to know more about the collective, you want me to come and speak to your group, preach, speak, it's all there. So I'll give you that link, and then they can go from there. You can book a healing hike there, coaching session, whatever, on that link.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get all of those and I'll go back and edit it in the caption so that everyone will have it as well.
Okay.
But thank you so very much for pushing through the technical difficulties that we had. And, hey, listen, who needed to be here was here.
Yes.
So we're grateful.
And we're thankful for Facebook Live because you can do replays.
Yeah.
So unlike, I don't know if Instagram Live allows that, but I know Facebook Live, you can always go back and watch it. And then I can also share it as well. So, which I will do. Thank y'all so much. This was such a fun, wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Didn't know where it was going to go. Y'all had me bringing up some stuff I didn't know I was going to talk about. But again, it was unscripted.
That's the unscripted.
Unscripted part.
That's what makes it such a beautiful thing, because it's unscripted. Like, you get the raw, uncut of all of us,
and I love it.
And we're gonna be out here for all y'all.
God bless y'all. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. Just, I just believe that God will continue to add to you 1,000-fold for what you are pouring out into the world, this excellence that you're pouring out to the world, but also this unity as a beautiful married couple is just working together. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we thank you all for joining us this evening. Until next week, we'll be blessed with another one of our speakers. But go get your tickets, abbeautifulencounter.eventbrite.com.
It's going to be lit.
It will be. We're going to have
a good time.
Yeah. I'm saving my voice. We got another speaker next week. Sweet. Yeah.
So y'all have a good, beautiful evening.
And thank you to everyone who was commenting. We had a lot of comments that I saw going up.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Won't be here without you.
All right.